Good morning, this is Angela with Parker's Permaculture. Today we're going to be making one of my favorite easy desserts. It pairs exceptionally well with jams and fruit from the garden. It's Panna Cotta and it's only got 5 ingredients and comes together very quickly. First you will need 1 tablespoon of unflavored gelatin, that's 1 packet, dissolved into 2 tablespoons of cold water. You want to stir thoroughly to incorporate all of the powder into the water and then place on your stovetop on medium-low heat. Stirring constantly over medium-low heat, the gelatin will begin to dissolve and get clear and runny. Once it has thoroughly dissolved, you want to remove it from the heat and let it cool. Next, you will need 1/3 cup of granulated sugar, 1 cup of half and half, and 2 cups of heavy cream. It's really important that you use heavy cream instead of milk. You want that extra richness that the cream provides. This is a very simple and humble dessert on many levels, but also is extremely decadent. Oh, you'll also need 1 teaspoon of vanilla. You need a 2-quart heavy bottom saucepan for this. I really love my all-clad. My mom got it for me for my 35th birthday, and if you can afford to invest in an all-clad 2-quart, it is probably the second most used pot in my kitchen. So I'm going to add the half and half, the heavy cream, and the granulated sugar to the saucepan. And then we're going to heat it on medium heat, stirring constantly. Be aware that we are cooking a high-fat dairy product and they tend to scorch on the bottom, so you want to stir non-stop. This is my favorite Rubbermaid spatula. I actually got it as a wedding gift and I have used it for more than 20 years. They still make it and I think it is the best spatula in my collection. We're going to bring the sugar and dairy mixture up to a boil and then remove it from the heat. You can see here that it is beginning to steam and I want to make sure that I am scraping the sides and bottom diligently. Also be aware that when you're heating heavy cream, the butter fat can tend to separate on the top if you aren't stirring. So keep up the consistent stirring the whole time in order to ensure that you have a creamy panna cotta in the end. Just as it begins to boil, remove from the heat and stir in that gelatin mixture. It will be quite firm now, but don't worry, it will dissolve again in the hot cream. Now stir in your 1 teaspoon of pure vanilla extract. I make mine at home using vanilla beans and vodka, but you can use store-bought, that's totally fine too. Now it's time to distribute the panna cotta mixture evenly among 8 half-cup ramekins before it cools. Now, I don't have a matched set of ramekins. I tend to use whatever jelly jars I have in the cabinet. I like the eclectic look, and my kids don't care either. You don't want to fill the jars all the way up, add just enough for a serving of dessert. Traditionally, these panna cotta would be turned out of the ramekins onto a plate, but we actually like to eat them in the jars themselves. We're not fussy here. It's much more uncomplicated and makes for a nice presentation to top each finished jelly jar with some cut up fruit or jam or perhaps a little maple syrup. It's important to let the dishes cool to room temperature and then transfer them into the refrigerator for about 6 to 8 hours or overnight if you prefer. If you want to turn your panna cotta out onto a plate, dip the bottom of the dish into hot water for about 3 to 4 seconds and then run a knife around the perimeter of the dish and invert it onto a plate. Again, we prefer eating it straight out of the bowl, keeps it simple. Now, I love to top mine with things like caramel spice pear butter in the fall or perhaps fresh berries in the summer. Here, my daughter is enjoying some caramel sauce and Inca berries she picked from the garden on her panna cotta she's having for dessert. We love panna cotta as a dessert because it's simple and easy to put together, and the richness of the heavy cream makes a wonderful backdrop upon which you can paint with all of those beautiful fruits coming out of your garden, all of those lovely preserves out of your pantry. Thank you for joining me in making panna cotta on this week's Hausfrau Friday. You can find the complete recipe down in the description, as well as ways to support this channel. I'll be back tomorrow from my permaculture garden in Portland, Oregon. In the meantime, would you please consider clicking like and subscribe? Thank you.